Well, that 30 years sure went quick with the 30-year anniversary celebration of Windows 95, an operating system that is very dear to my heart and many others, a system that provided multitasking support, better printing support, CD-ROM use, all sorts of extra stuff, better gaming. We got our first instance of DirectX. Wasn't initially bundled with the system, but later on became a mainstream staple of gaming that we still use in most games, some good majority of them today. So yeah, this is a system that we all most of us grew up with using at schools, work, home. I know it was the first Windows operating system that I pretty much used. So yeah, with that said, 30-year celebration, we're going to kick this off with a nice restoration project. And what better time than now? With the 30th anniversary of Windows 95, I figured now is the time better than any to fix up a machine that I've had in possession for the better part of 20 years. It's this IBM PC-340. It's a part of IBM's PC-300 series. Yeah, this is a machine that I saved from my high school that was being sent to scrap or thrown out. We didn't really have recycling in New Zealand, well, parts of New Zealand when I rescued this thing, so I was just literally given it. The PC-300 series from IBM is sort of their budget line, sort of came with Pentium 100s up to 166 thereabouts, and was later replaced with the PC-300GL series, sort of Pentium 2-esque era. This machine though still works and needs a lot of help. The grime and everything that you are seeing is from years and years of neglect. Essentially, this machine's been stuffed in garages and carted around storage units and yeah, various places I've lived and moved. So it's had a really hard life, and when I got it, it wasn't worth anything, and of course vintage PC collecting isn't as what it is now. So unfortunately, half of it's neglect from the many years of school use that it was put through, and well, me, unfortunately. So yeah, but anyway, in the video here we're going to try and fix this thing up and get it sort of restored back to some sort of former glory. So we're going to have a look over the machine and yeah, see some of the parts. So we've got a VGA card, some form of network card, some sort of sound card. Got VGA, parallel, 2 serial ports, and PS2. It's a very big thing that IBM had. PS2, of course, PS2 ports now standardized, as well as a standard AT power supply. The machine type is 6560-77T. This is a very mid-90s machine. I believe the manufacturer date is around the 9th month of 1996. You can see by the label on the bottom here. The bottom of the case as well is very scratched up. These machines were also stored in terrible conditions when they came out of service. So a swimming pool to be exact. There must have been about 50 sort of machines. These and mini AT cases, mini towers and all sorts of stuff. So nowadays would have been a treasure trove. Okay, so getting into this is pretty easy. It's just one screw at the back and then the whole cover should slide forward and basically just lift it up. So one thing that I really like about these machines is you've got your layout diagram for the board, so it also tells you how to populate the memory, what jumpers you need to be able to flash the BIOS, clear it, set your cache memory sizes, CPU speed jumper. This board apparently only supports up to the 133 megahertz CPU. I'm sure we could probably get that a little bit higher. But yeah, just really nice handy information just to have in the cover of the machine for a quick reference. Okay, so here's the inside of the machine. Very easy to work on, processor, memory, cards, things like that. Got room on both sides of these to have ISA and PCI, which is quite nice. So we've got dual. Of course, being a mid-90s machine, you kind of want that. So I think what I need to do is strip this thing down to get it clean. The case especially, I want to sort of remove everything from it. So yeah, let's have a look at some of the parts. Now the parts that are in this and the configuration of this machine is exactly as it has been for the past God knows how many long years, so since 2003, I'm going to say, thereabouts. So whatever's in this is how it was configured at my school, and yeah, this is what I guess they've populated it with over time, and of course being IBM flathead screws, so we'll take that out. So let's have a look at this optional PCI card. We've got a Trio 64, very compatible, no optional memory upgrades. I should see if I can actually track some of these down, because I wouldn't mind you know, populating those, but I do have other PCI cards. So yeah, standard VGA card. I don't know why this is in here as opposed to the onboard, so yeah. Next up we've got the network card. This is an IBM branded card called the EtherJet ISA adapter. So I believe at the school we were on 10 base T, or the you know, RJ45, no coax. I'm actually looking at this. Don't know if the coax has ever been used, or the, I forget what this connector is called. But yeah, that's quite neat. It's got optional boot ROM. Is there a part number on this? Just some sort of other bits. It's got an IBM chipset here, so I'll zoom in on that. I have no idea what that is, if it's some form of rebadged like 3-com device, or if it's literally just their own thing. I don't know if this works. I mean, it did work. The whole school was connected. All the machines had a domain controller they connected back to. Next up is sound. Although many programs I used back in the day at my school, they did not really utilize the sound card. So yeah, I guess I don't know if all machines had them back then, but we've just got a standard, oops, sorry, exposure went nuts because of the sunlight. But yeah, we got the standard Vibra 16, so a very typical sound card. This one appears to be kind of a later one. There's hardly any like features and things on it, like no IDE controller or anything like that. I noticed there's no CD drive input, so yeah, I'll have to grab one of those. I think what I'm going to do at this point is take this out maybe, so we can get a little look at the board, but you know what, I think I'm going to start with these optical and floppy disk drives stuff, you know, just to, yeah, free up some space, and we can take this bar out, get a look at the board. Okay, so thankfully this machine is very easy to work on. Okay, there's all the ribbon cables, and to get the hard drive cage out, there's one screw at the front we need to take out. So remove that, and that should slide back and up. As I said, very service friendly. And here is that Western Digital hard drive. I'll have a look at that in a moment. Sadly, it's on its last legs. And you know what, I might as well remove this optical drive, which interestingly is it's missing all its screws. So it's kind of loose on this side. So as I said, these machines, when they came out of production, they were used right up to the point that the domain controller was changed during a school break. So they did a migration from, I think, like NT4 to, I'm going to say, potentially server 2003 or 2000. These came pretty much straight out. It would have been, sorry, domain Windows Server 2003. But yeah, these pretty much came straight out of production, and a huge stack of them went into the swimming pool area where they sat for like a year. So I'm really glad that I got to this when I did, otherwise it would have been all corroded inside. That's alright. Get this CD-ROM drive out, which it looks like on this side has just got one Phillips. And I'm trying to remember if this is something I put in. I'm pretty sure it is, because a lot of the machines, actually all of them, pretty much were just floppy disk based only. So it looks like over the years I've put this in, and it's an actual Phillips. Sorry about the exposure again. But yeah, this is an actual Phillips branded drive, and here is the model. PC-340, July of 1995, so it's actually quite old, and it's just a standard IDE drive. Yeah, so nothing too fancy there. Sorry about that, I just realised that my camera stopped recording because it overheated. Typical. So yeah, once the drives and everything came out and I could remove that riser, that metal bar just came out and gave me full access to the board, which looks like it's just held in with a few screws. So I'll take them out. Looks to be only 4. And the case has got an integrated I/O shield. So we'll get this board out and we'll have a closer look at it. Yep. And there it is. You can see the layer of dust in the bottom of that. That's pretty nasty. Okay, let's have a look at some of the parts that I've pulled out. So here is the board. I believe, actually the chipsets are SIS 5512 and 5513. And that's sunlight. It's not plain ball. We have 32 megabytes of RAM. Appears to be IBM branded, and we'll take one out here and have a wee look it up. I don't know where the through number is on this. I guess it's potentially this one here, which is 05H0929. So apart from being dusty, it's all complete. I have done a memory test on these, and yeah, I think I did quite a number of passes, or put some footage up here, and it's yeah, it all checked out. We've got our CPU. This is the 133 megahertz CPU. I don't believe that these boards support the MMX CPUs due to the voltage stuff. At least I didn't see any mention of that. But that's fine. I'm going to keep this machine pretty much exactly how it is. Got our floppy disk port. Which one's the floppy? Or one of them. IDE, all of that stuff here. Power. No cache. And that is something I read was quite common with these machines, is it was an optional extra, which considering 96, almost, well, I mean, only bottom of the barrel stuff pretty much didn't come with any cache. So I have another board, which I'm hoping is pin compatible with these sockets. And I believe I might have 256K of level 2 cache, and then over here is where the tag chip goes. Got the PCI riser. The I/O on board, we pretty much just get, as I said, the standard PS2 for keyboard and mouse, 2 serial ports. This one has a spider's nest in there, which is really nice. Parallel printer port, onboard VGA, which is handled by the Cirrus Logic chipset there, which is the CL-GD5436. Looks like it has some form of video memory, maybe 1 megabyte, maybe 512K, probably 1 meg. Optional slots for the upgrade, which this board doesn't have. What else have we got on here? Not sure what this is. I could consult the bottom of the case. Okay, well on the diagram this is just labelled the feature connector. So I guess this will be for the video chipset potentially, because there's no onboard sound. It might be for like a MPEG encoder or something like that. I am going to replace the thermal paste under this, and yes, there is no fan for the CPU. It is purely passive cooled, and there's no case fan either, so I have no idea. It did very well. I'm surprised it didn't burn out, because these machines were pushed pretty hard, even just loading you know, the internet and all the software we used to use. So yeah, I guess it did its job. I want to take this hard drive out, and I can definitely tell that I've been in here. There's literally one screw holding this in. Or maybe it was previous people. We've got an 850 megabyte Caviar drive. Unfortunately, this does work. I can get the machine to boot off whatever version of Windows 95 I had on here. However, I'll put some footage up, but when SpinRite gets to the latter half of the drive, it stops. It sort of just stops, like it just doesn't want to read any further. So I might actually open this up at the end, maybe, maybe bonus footage, and we can have a look to see if there's any physical damage on the platters. This would have had many hours. It looks like it may have been potentially made in 96. So yeah. And as for the 3.5 inch floppy disk drive, this does work. However, I have noticed it leaves imprints on my disks if you leave them in the drive. So potentially there is gum or some oil or damaged heads, or I'm not sure. These disk drives would have put in potentially a lot of hours, because as I said, to get files off and on these machines like the schoolwork, the only form back then was either your home drive or the floppy disk, of course. So yeah, take that apart. Okay, and the next thing I thought I'd take a quick look at, I have opened this up before I turned it on to make sure it wasn't going to just, you know, immediately explode with any reefer safety caps or anything. But we've got the through number of 75H8473. I don't know what sort of output this is. I'm guessing potentially 150 to 200 watts. It's got very standard, goes like sun again. It's got very standard connectors on it, so just this typical AT stuff, Molex. Yeah, and as I said, there's the physical power switch. Now, there are an awful lot of hours on this power supply. I'm not saying that it's going to just let go, but as a precaution, they're still in the mail, so I'll get them before the end of the video, but I've ordered capacitors so I can recap the power supply. I'm also going to reflow any like voltage regulators, anything that gets hot and contracts quite a lot, because these machines were turned off and on constantly. They would get all turned on in the morning, left running all day for, you know, from like 8:30 to 3:30, and then turned off. So they did that for a good part of probably 8 years. So I'm going to, yeah, recap the power supply, so we'll do that as well. As a side note, date on the power supply is 1996, 27th week, revision A. I've temporarily put the case on the ground, so I'm going to just take that outside and wash it with probably some car washing liquid. I can't quite get those LEDs out. It's that, that cable that we see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to avoid getting that wet. So yeah, and while that's doing that and drying, I'm going to take apart the CD-ROM drive and floppy disk drive. I think also while I've got the case out there that I'm washing, I'm also going to take off this front panel, which is just held on with a bunch of Phillips screws, and I'm going to give this a wash as well. And I need to do something with this top metal cover. As you can see, it's in terrible shape, and unfortunately I caused a lot of that. These machines weren't worth, of course, anything when they were decommissioned. I got it for free, and it got shoved around in garages and left in some pretty terrible conditions. So I think it needs to be sanded and repainted, because it's just too far gone. But yeah, just a couple of Phillips screws it looks like, and this whole plastic power panel should come off, which will allow me to get brushes in there and clean it as well. And there we go. These floppy disk covers often go missing. They're actually quite hard to find now. So I was really pleased that was on there. And I don't know what I did with this cover. I might potentially still have one, but now that there's a CD-ROM drive, there's pretty much no point to do anything with that. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of grime and stuff in this, so it needs a good wash. So I'll clean that along with the shell. Let's have a look at this floppy disk drive. As I said, there's appears to be something not quite right with it. It does work, but it leaves like imprints on the disk material. So not too sure what that's about, if it's like, you know, crap stuck on the head. Looks like one screw. Oh, here's the part number. It's an original IBM part. Through number 93F2361. Again, made in 96, the 6th week. Alps Electric. So I do have backup disk drives. Gosh, that's sunlight. But I would obviously prefer to save original parts if possible. Bearing's okay, it's not the greatest. It does appear to spin freely. I'm not entirely sure how this comes apart. So turns out the back cover just slides off. Oof. Yep. And then this one drops down, and yeah, it reveals the inside, which is extremely dirty. So now I just need to remove the face plate, which might involve a small flathead. Managed to do it with my thumbs. These two tabs either side, just very gently, of course. And there's the front cover. And then we've got the button. All of this is pretty disgusting. Okay, I got the disk drive apart. Basically what I did was I removed some of the springs, which you can see just out of frame, and I actually pushed the eject mechanism in, which allowed this carrier to drop in, which is going to be fun to put back together, but that's okay. I did take some photos, but the main point is I wanted to get in here and clean out all of this and this top cover, because it's terrible, as well as clean the heads. So yeah, I'm going to do that now. I've also removed the button for the eject, and I think it might need a bit of retro bright, potentially. At least it needs a clean. And yeah, the other thing that I am going to do afterwards is put some lithium grease or something in here to help with these metal sliding bits. I don't have lithium grease. I do have silicone grease, which is safe on plastics, but I'm just going to put a little bit of this under some of these metal to metal parts, just to help it slide a bit easier. This was a bit gummed up. Just to sort of help them move a bit easier. And yes, thankfully I can use this on like all the plastic rails and things. Okay, got a dead disc. Oh yes. Oh yeah, that's working a lot better. Before it would, the disc would just barely eject. I'm gonna give this, oh gosh, that sun again. I'm gonna give the faceplate a good old clean because that's all gross. It's actually, well, it's not too bad. And of course the eject button, which is, yeah, tasty. On a side note, I'm going to retro bright this. It's probably very hard to tell, but the top part of it is more creamier than the lower half. I have cleaned it, so what I'll do is I'll just put the drive literally back together, I think. Get the old retro bright out, and yeah, if it's sunny enough, hopefully it is, we can finish putting this back together. Okay, next item to fix is the CD-ROM drive, and the problem with this is the mechanism is just, yeah, I don't know, there's something not right. It can barely close, sometimes it doesn't open. So yeah, it just needs help, desperate help. It does read stamped discs, but of course being a 90s, very early 90s drive, it can't read burnt discs, unfortunately. Okay, that side's off. I wonder if this whole thing now will just sort of come off the other side too. It's not screwed together, it's just kind of stamped. There we go. And there's the bottom cover. And I believe the top half is just 4 screws. Surprisingly clean. Plastic mechanism. It's just very crap. So we have another 4 screws on the bottom, and yeah, some connectors. So I'm going to continue taking this apart. Yeah. So another ribbon cable for the head assembly. Now with the read-write heads, There's a often on the ribbon cable a part we solder onto, which creates a short, so it grounds the laser diode out because they're quite sensitive to static. So I don't know where that one is on this, but I'm going to be very careful not to touch the contacts. Yeah, here's the board. We've got some oak tech, I think it's called, technologies. It must be like a IDE controller of some sort. A couple of Philips chips. I wonder if this has a couple of Philips audio to digital converters. If it does, it might actually have a pretty decent sounding headphone amplifier, digital audio converter. I know that Philips CD players are quite can be quite a hot commodity due to that in the retro audio world. So the belt still has good tension. Guys, got the drive apart, and that's the good news, and that's where it kind of ends. And this is where I was worried. Basically, where my hand is here, this is the sled mechanism, and as you can see, it turns these plastic gears, which therefore line up with the tooth gearing on the sled itself. Now, this isn't just, you know, limited to CD-ROM drives. It can be anything, a laser mechanism, a VCR, DVD player. But long story short is we've got a cracked gear. So basically, it's going to be a bit hard to see, but as this rotates, you can see it's coming around, and then here there's a crack, and I can feel it. As it hits that point, it sticks a little, and that's where that binding will be coming from. So unfortunately, without another gear, this drive, it can be used, but it's going to have a sticking sled, unfortunately. So what I might do is just clean it, put it back together, knowing that that's going to be a problem, and I could try and put on a slightly tighter belt and hope that the motor can overcome that. But yeah, I'd say I might need a 3D printer or something to fix that. The other thing you can do is take the gear off and melt it with a soldering iron. I've seen that done before. The grease is pretty nasty. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's just unfortunately how it goes with 30-something-year-old plastics. I mean, it works, it's just very oh, I wonder if now that I've cleaned that, if that's going to read. I think what I'm going to do is retro bright the faceplate. I'll give it a better clean than this, but I think I might just risk running this drive because, I mean, you know, it still seems to work. So yeah, I'll when we do the other plastics, I'll do this too. Okay, so now time for painting, and this is the hardest part of the restoration I find, mainly because I'm crap at it, and yeah, every paint job I've done, well, let's just say you could get better results. And doesn't help that it's cold outside and windy and coming into winter in New Zealand, so yeah, doing all the wrong things. But various types of grit sandpaper, trying to work my way down to finer sandpaper as well, so keep the finish smooth, and then wiping the case down with alcohol, getting the oils and stuff off the lid. And I will be honest, actually it didn't work too badly, apart from the wind. I was pretty happy with the results. Here's the primer I'm using. It's really just a flat grey, dries nice and quick, and I'm just putting on some light coats to start with, building up the layers. Doing the inside edges of the case lid as well, just because it's going to get rubbed when the lid comes off and on, and I can see where it'd been starting to get gouged and going a bit rusty in the corners, so sanded all of that off, got some primer on there. Then moved on to the white or beige sort of spray paint. This is the closest I could find. Really annoying because it needed to be slightly more darker, browner, but to be honest, well, that's about all I could find. So here it is here, going on. I went to all the paint shops, couldn't find someone to scan my original colour, so this is the best we've got. But it didn't come out too badly. Okay, so here is the progress update so far. Sorry about the wind. And the exposure. Yeah, it's been quite hard to get a good finish on this because of the wind. And here is the back panel. So it is looking a fair bit better. I ran out of that silver spray paint I used last time I did painting, so it's a little bit thin and spotty, but it gives it that sort of metal finish. So yeah, I'm just going to wait for that to finish drying, and then we'll carry on. For anyone wondering, this is the stuff I used. It's just labelled shell as the colour. Matte finish enamel. That's the brand, and I think there will be a product code there. So yeah, that's the kind of off-white that I grabbed. Okay, there's the finished product out of the sun. Just kind of letting it dry. It looks actually pretty good. Of course, the camera's struggling to focus, and over here we have the back panel, so that's fully dry. This needs a little bit of extra time in the heat. Okay, so next job, I've got to figure out how to stop the stuff from floating, and what I'm thinking of doing is putting a nut through each side, hooking it on, and hoping that will keep it from being too buoyant. So yeah, I'm just going to trim this to length and see how we go. Not too sure what the name of this wire is, but it's bendable, so you can keep it in shape, so you can hook it around stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping that will keep that nut on there and stop it from floating. So I'm just gonna use whatever this bread wire is on the rest of this stuff to try and stop it floating. Alright, sorry about the audio, it's just my microphone went flat. It's now basically a week later, and the last big job I need to do is to tackle the power supply. So with that said, I've got a few parts here that I've ordered. They're waiting to come in. Got some capacitors, a few other bits and pieces. And a new fan, because the existing fan's got a lot of hours on it. So yeah, as you can see, quite a few capacitors, a number of which 5 or 10 at a time. So yeah, at this point I'm pretty much going to take the lid off the power supply and yeah, get them swapped. Disclaimer, of course, power supplies are dangerous. Don't open them unless you know what you're doing. One weird thing about this power supply is there's no grommet. For the power cords to go through. So they're pretty much sitting on folded sheet metal. Connections are too big for the desoldering gun. So blue on the right, brown on the left. Cool, and that's freed up the whole unit, which means I can clean both of these out. So, capacitors are all replaced. Here's the pile. Interestingly, I didn't realise when I ordered the 50 volt 1 UFs that these are bipolar capacitors, so the polarity didn't matter, but I did put the longer lead in the positive side as before, just in case. From what I've read, that shouldn't matter, although I would have preferred to, of course, had polarized capacitors. I didn't realize when I ordered them that was the case, so yep. The other thing is there was one 0.47 PF, or sorry, 47 PF, 0.47 UF capacitor, which I actually thought was a 47 UF. That's still in here. That's the only one that I couldn't replace. And I must have had a total brain fart because these two here are 6.3 volt, 3300 UF. And the only ones I had in stock were from AliExpress. I have measured the ESR, I've got a little ESR meter here, although it's not the most accurate thing. Came in at like 40 ohms resistance, like 3000 UF. These ones were, I think, still technically good, but there's a lot of hours on this power supply, and with some of the others, which I noticed started to leak, I got a couple of smells from one or two of these. I figured I might as well just replace it with something new, and then come back to it when I've got good capacitors in there. So I need to still come back and reopen this up, sadly, but hey, at least it's all 99.5% new. And now the only thing I'm going to do is I've got a new Noctua fan here, and that's going to replace the old one. So I'm going to get that sort of wired up. I'm in what I call the explosive chair. Sorry about all the car noise I got. I live on a very, very busy street. So I've got a hard drive in there for load, and the multimeter, of course. So yeah, I'll just check the other voltage rails and make sure they're all good. Okay, with the power supply all tested and working, I think all we need to do now is reassemble the machine. So yeah, sit back and relax, and we're going to get this back together. Well, that is the external restoration and internal sort of complete. I do really wish that I had a slightly beigeier, darker tone of white for that case lid. It doesn't quite match the front lid now, and it makes the front lid look a little too dark, even though I've retro brighted it. Just to the eye, it's definitely kind of a vast coloured tone, sorry, but hey, at least it looks a lot better than it did, so it's not all scratched up, nasty looking, and I can always repaint it. But the power on test complete as well, we need to get an operating system put on this machine, and sadly there's no standard recovery media, so I'm going straight for pretty much a vanilla install. There is a driver disk that I have as well, which we'll look at in a moment. That floppy disk driver's really nice and quiet. But here we go with the IBM CD-ROM that I managed to find on archive.org. I'll link that down below. And this does have some drivers, but it's mainly bloatware, various applications, you know, outdated antivirus, a lot of crap that you really don't, well, you don't need. I did read somewhere that there was supposedly IDE drivers, but I didn't see any of those on the disk. But yeah, pretty much I'm just going to install everything so we can just have a quick look over it. Most of it, as I said, is bloatware, but hey, bonus IBM software, why not? So we'll wait for this stuff to install. With all the bloatware installed, here we go with the freshly installed operating system with all the applications I wanted on it. Got ourselves a nice IBM wallpaper, must have. Standard Word Excel 97 is pretty much what I used at school. So yeah, here is the antivirus software. Very, very basic, relies on being updated with packages from a floppy disk, which is really great if you've got an infected machine. We got the IBM diagnostic software. This is sort of looks at all the hardware in the machine, gives you stats, information about it. It's a little basic, but I mean, there is not one solution for all in this era of computing, so it does a job of somewhat usefulness. We got the standard registration, of course. Yeah, I didn't go through with that because I don't have a modem. And a bit of software I wouldn't actually mind trying out on another machine as well. It's sort of like this virtual whiteboard presentation software where you can join into a meeting and you can present notes and drawings and things like that if you're on a call. So yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool to try that out one day because it seems to support TCP. One of the bits of software I opened up seemed to cause a lot of CPU cycles, so the machine essentially crawled to a halt, had to reboot it, but you can see how long it's taking to close Microsoft Word there. Eventually it does get there. And online on archive.org I managed to find a classic IBM screensaver. Once again, if I remember, I'll link those two things down below, the CD-ROM as well as the screensaver. So with that all done, we're going to play some games and see what the performance of this machine is like, starting with Monster Truck Madness. Given the 3D capabilities of this system, which are next to none, I figured we'd try some Flight Simulator. I've got this copy of Microsoft Flight Simulator for Windows 95. Came with a big paper manual as well, but I've lost that. I think it's in storage somewhere. But it seems to work pretty good on Socket 7 machines. A lot of the games that I'm showing here work in software mode because I don't have a DirectX capable video card. But yeah, if you guys recognize the airport that I'm taking off from or the city I'm flying in, let me know. I left its key feature out mainly because I ran out of time and couldn't find it while flying. But yeah, if anyone recognizes it, put it in the comments below. Next up is Star Wars Dark Forces. This is a fantastic first-person shooter. I really enjoyed playing this one.
Too easy. Now to get to my ship. You there?
Next up is a shareware game called The Chaos Engine. It's made around 93 or thereabouts. It's sort of like an action shooter, top-down shooter game, and I actually really enjoyed playing it, but the only problem which you might be able to see here is that the CPU is too fast for it. It really needs something like a 386 or 486, but still quite a fun game.
Players safe.
Well, with the machine all sort of wrapped up and put back together and freshly painted, I really wished I had a slightly darker beige for that case lid, but hey, at least it looks a lot better than, you know, rusting and all scratched and gouged up. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I really enjoyed putting this one back together. It's been on my list to do for so many years, and I'm really pleased to have it restored back into full functionality, and living to die another day. Alright everyone, have a good one, thanks for watching, and catch you guys soon. Bye for now.